Hi everybody, welcome back. Week 11, we're almost finished. Last week we did a sign up page using a NoSQL database. This week we're going to do kind of the same thing but better and use an SQL database or SQL. I always say SQL, I don't know why, but you just pronounce SQL. And if you see SQL Lite, a SQL Lite, 90% of the databases you see are going to be SQLite databases. I'm not sure if they offer SQL as a class or a course. And this is not a SQL class, although we're going to have to use some SQL commands in this exercise. It is something that I think everyone should know, not just web developers, but anybody. If you use data at all, it will be stored in that kind of database. You will need to be familiar with them. Anyway, do the stuff in the book in Cengage. Make sure you do your self-test exercises and your quiz. I will cover the project. For this project, we will use a program called XAMPP, and that will let us kind of mock up an Apache server and a MySQL database so we can interact with the two. Just download it from here. It will take some time to download. I downloaded the 8.2.12 because that seems to be the most recent version. That will take some time, but once it is downloaded, you can then run that installer, which again takes a few minutes. And it took a few minutes on my system, so I expect it will probably take a few more on yours. There are some things you need to know before installing. It says that if you have antivirus running, it says sometimes it can slow down or interfere with it. It hasn't done that to me, except now my screen is blinking. So I'm just going to hit yes. Don't worry about it. It also says the user account control on a Windows machine can not let some of the functions work properly. And to make sure not to install it in the C/program files directory, because you can't write to that directory. So what we're going to do is install it directly to the root of C. So click OK. You get the setup wizard. Next. Make sure it says C /XAMPP. That's right on the root of C, so you don't have any of those issues with UAC. And go to next. I've already done this a few times trying to shoot this video. There we go. Next. English, unless you want a different language. And go. And let it do the thing. And this will take a few minutes. Just walk away and come back in about 10 minutes. All right, and we're back. Once it finishes, it should give you this window here. And make sure the box is checked and just click finish. And the XAMPP control panel will pop up. And it looks like this. It lets you do a bunch of things. The only thing I have ever used this for is Apache server and an SQL database. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. We'll get into, I think, something in here in a minute. I can't remember. But you want to go ahead and start your Apache and okay. If you have red in here, that means that something is not right. Red's bad. In my case, it says port 443 is in use by a VMware executable. Apache, obviously being a server or a web server, is going to want to use port 80 and port 443 for HTTP and HTTPS. You should know those. So because the VMware program is using that, I have to go into my task manager and turn that thing off. Don't need it right now. I don't know why it starts A, B, C, D, E, F, G when I start my computer. Where is it? VMware host D. End task. Close that out and then restart XAMPP. XAM. Control panel. Okay. No more red. It says that if you're not running with administrator rights, everything should work, but it could break. So you may want to think about running it as an administrator. I don't, and I don't have any problems doing what I would normally do. So start the Apache server. You see it's running on port 80 and port 443, and start the MySQL server, which is running on port 3306. And just minimize that, and we'll come back to it in a minute. Now we want to jump into this thing, VS Code. That's what it's called. And if you can see here, I am in a folder called Chapter 10 Lesson that is empty, nothing in it. So the first thing we need to do, because we're going to use Node in this for this project, is open a terminal, and we want to do npm init, right? And this will initialize Node and give us, you know, a basic thing or whatever. I don't know. It's the thing that we do. The only thing I'm going to change here is the entry point, and I'll call this login, login.js. You can call it whatever you want. I call it login because that's what we're doing, a login page. Yes, you do the things, all the things, and then it says, is this okay? Yes, type yes, and we're done. And then for this exercise, we are going to use Express, Body Parser, and MySQL. You're familiar with Express and Body Parser, but not SQL. So npm I for install, we're going to do Express, Body Parser, and MySQL. Hit enter and let it do the thing. And it didn't take very long. So perfect. That's awesome. All right. Now, visualize the project. We want to have a landing page like our index.html. Everybody gets to. It's going to be a sign in to get to the thing that we have. But if you don't already have an account, you need to register. So we need a sign in page, we need a sign up page, and we need a welcome page. So three pages plus our login.js. So I'm just going to go ahead and create these files real quick. Login.js, index.html, register. Wow. Nope, I'm typing in. What is this untitled? Oh, I'm going too fast here. Close this untitled one. New file, register.html, and a new welcome.html. I'm not bothering with the typical folders for the JS and all that. Actually, I'll make one folder for CSS. I'm not going to do any CSS in this project, but you should. All right, so where are we at? We got login, index, register, and welcome. Start with the index page. Index page. So we want our normal boilerplate HTML, right? I'm going to set the title as login. We have, it's a link to a style sheet, which I have not created, but you should. Body head, body wrapper, HTML, standard. We can actually copy and paste this over in our register page and then just change the title. The pages are exactly the same right now. Isn't that cool? All right. In our wrapper, we want to have a form. Let's see, I don't need that. trying to copy and paste so I don't bore you with all my typing. So we're going to have a form in here, and the form, the action of the form is going to be login, and we'll define that in our JavaScript, and it's a post method. We're going to have an input field that's an email, and an input field that's a password, and a submit button. Right, and if I save these, save all, and I haven't written anything in the login screen, so I can't use Node.js just yet, but I can open the page like a normal HTML page to show you what it looks like. That's the index, right? Let's see, open with. And boom. All right. So we got our username, password, login. Well, let's add. Sorry. Add a little something here. User login. Control S and then refresh. Okay, so we know it's a login page. We've got a username, an input for username, an input for a password, and a login button that, well, doesn't do anything right now. The register page is going to be very similar. I apologize for all the dead air. My brain is a little bit fried this weekend. It's been busy. And save that. So this will be a register page. And the only difference, obviously we got a register title. The header is going to be different because you say, hey, you're registering, not logging in. And our action is going to be register rather than log in. And again, we're going to define that action in the login.js. Still username, password, and a button fields. Super easy. One thing here, if we down at the bottom, whatever, I'm just going to do it outside the div. You do it however you want. You style your own page. But I'm going to add that to the register page and to the login page. So if I save all, refresh, okay. So I have a user login page with our inputs, our button, and this, hey, if you're not a member, if you don't have a login credential, go to this page to register. You click that, it takes you to a new user registration page. Same thing, username, password, and it's just a register button rather than a login button. And again, we have the reverse hyperlink here. If you're already a member, you don't have to sign up. You go to login page here, login, register, two different pages, but they're very, very, very similar. Super easy, right? I spelled welcome wrong here. Let's rename this and add an E at the end. The welcome page is just, you know, hey, you got here, good job. So Control C, Control V. We don't need these. And save. And if I open that page so that you can see it, it just says welcome back because you've already been here. You've logged, you have registered, and then you went to the sign in page and signed in, and now you are back. So perfect. We got our 3 pages. Now we need to make them work interactively and store stuff in a database. We will do that with the login.js. All right, so we haven't done anything. We know that we need these things. So we did this in the other one. Remember, you have to declare a variable, and require each one of the things that you're going to use. And that's what we did with the NPM. We installed Express, Body Parser, MySQL. We then declare that a variable for the server, or the Express server. I keep calling it a server. I'm not sure if that's an accurate way to say it, but Express is what delivers us these pages. Express is going to find the link between the pages, right? And that's why we have to specify these directory names. So if you need this line right here, if you don't have any other folders, you need that line. Now, if you're going to use CSS and you're going to organize it the way I normally do, you're going to need to tell it, hey, go into directory, look for the folder with CSS in it, and those images or those files in there are useful too. Same with images. If you're going to put images in it, you need to do the same thing. You don't necessarily need all three of those lines. Just put the lines in there that you're going to need if you need images or CSS, which you should, because you style your pages. Make sure the body parser URL encoded is set to true. And then we're going to set our connection to the database. Let's do this. All right, we're going to create a connection. And the variable connection is going to be equal to our actual connection. So we're going to put in here a host, local host. So that's what everything's hosted on in our little projects, local hosts. So it just comes back to us. When you start branching out, if you buy a domain name and you want it hosted somewhere, most hosts will only host a static site. Now you can use JavaScript and HTML and CSS and all that and make it do some cool things. But if you want to use databases or Node or any of that other stuff, you actually need to buy more services. So if you decide to do this on your own and do something to host on the internet, make sure you understand what you're getting for your money, because it can get kind of expensive. Anyway, we're going to run it on the local host. The user is just going to be root in this case. Don't ever do this for real, but for the lesson, root is you have total control if you're a root user. We're going to put in the password. We're just going to leave the password blank because we don't want to deal with having to send the password. So user root, password blank, super unsecure, but perfect for this project. And then we're going to specify a database. And I'm going to call mine, what's a good name? Members, users. We did users last time, right? Say members, whatever. It doesn't matter. Name it whatever you want. Enjoy, have fun, live life. Then finish that up. So that's our variable connection. When we create the connection, we need to know the host. And most of the time, if your stuff is secure, you need a username and password to get access to that. If the username and password doesn't work, you can't access the server, which is good. Or you can't access the database, which is good. And our database is going to be called members. Oh my goodness, what happened? All right, now we are going to connect to the database. Super easy. You do it like that. Connection, which is the variable, MySQL create connection. We're going to create a connection. We're going to send this information over. Creation connect, bang. If there's an error, throw an error. Otherwise, just say, hey, we've connected the database successfully. That is super easy. I like to test my code in the middle. I'm just trying to figure out if we have enough code in here to do so. Let me see. App.listen. 3,000, 8,000, 4,000, 8,000. I don't know if this will work yet or not. Let's see. Save that. If I go down here and start node, let's see. Login.js. Nah, it's an error. Okay. Unknown database members. Okay, so we may have to build that database first. No biggie, we'll get there. All right, so after that, we need to create our first thing, apt-get, apt-get. Basically saying that if you don't do anything, do the index.html, which is the landing page. I wonder if that'll let us do Node. I don't think so. No, I'm still getting there. I know, because it's trying to connect to the database. If we didn't have the database in there, it would render the page. But anyway, so we need to do our two post methods, right? We need to, when we do the login and when we do a register. So if we do our post, app.post, and we're looking for this login, which we did on the index.html, remember? So when you hit the submit button in this form, it's going to do the login action, the post method to the server. So we're looking for this. We're going to get the response and request. It's going to pull the username from the body of the requesting document and the password. And then we're going to go into, it's going to go into the database. And this is the SQL right here. This is the command. So it's going to query the database. And maybe we should, maybe I should do a quick down and dirty on SQL. Maybe. Go in here and admin, and it will bring up a web page. If you click this admin button, it will bring up this my PHP admin page. Let me back up. So you can see over here, I don't know what you'll have by default. I just installed this, so maybe none of my other stuff is in here. No. Okay, this is all default stuff. So if you want to create a table, or if you have a table, all right, I think we have to do this. We have to do a few things. So just go in here, and this will make life easy, and you'll learn a little SQL. Go in here to the SQL, and this is where you actually, you can do stuff in here without doing code. I think it's point and click and do all this other stuff. But since I know how to do it without, we're going to create database. And what did I call it? Members? Members, right? So we're going to create that database. If I can find that window. All right, we'll create database members. Oh, yeah, it's not enter either, and I do that all the time. You actually have to go down here, this little button. When you write your code, you got to go to this little button and click go. It's annoying. It's crap to me. Created database members. Okay, did it do it? It did. So you'll see over here, I now have a database called members right there. And there is nothing in it. Now you can create new tables and no, maybe not. Yeah, you can go in here, create a table. I don't like doing that again. I'll go back to the SQL and I will say create a table if not exists. So what it's going to do is going to look at the database called members, and if there is a table in there called login user, it's going to stop, not do anything else. But if there's no table in there called login user, it's going to create the table. It's going to put a column in there for the user ID. It's going to create a so when I think of a database, I think of a spreadsheet. Don't ever say that to anybody because people look at you funny. A database is not a spreadsheet, but they act very similar. So you can think of this as like a cell or a column. Let's say a column. User ID is a column. We're specifying that it should be an integer. The data in that column should be an integer. We're also telling it it should not be nothing. It can't be left empty. We are saying that this will be the primary key to identify the record or whatever in that column. And then we're going to auto increment this user ID. So like the first one could be 1, the second one can be 2, I don't know if it'd be 3 digits, 4 digits, whatever. But it's going to have a user ID that's an integer, cannot be nothing or cannot be null. It's a primary key, and it will auto increment. If you don't know the difference between primary keys and all that other stuff, you need to take a table class. I hate that stuff. Anyway, we are also going to add a username. And what this means right here, so with SQL, you have to specify, what it is, or the name for it, which is username, and what it is. It's varchar, and I think that means like variable characters. And the 255 means it can be up to 255 characters in length. It can't be any longer than that. We'll do the same thing with user password. You have to specify the name and the type. Here we go. It should create a table with these 3 elements in it when I hit the go button. Click the go button. I don't know what this means. Return an empty result set, whatever. But when you go into members now, you can, well, there's nothing in here because there's a table. It is called login user. There's nothing in it yet. And I don't know. It doesn't look like you can actually tell what's in it. There's no columns. There's no data in it. So the next thing that we're going to do, one more command. We are going to insert into login user, which is the table we just created. And I know this is remember we got members is our database. Login user is the table within the database. And then each record is going to be inside the login user database. We're going to insert into the login user database a username and a password, the values of which are, I don't know, bob.smith@gmail.com. Make sure everything's in quotes, comma, password. What's his password going to be? Ooh, that was enter. 123, super secure. So we're going to insert into login user a username and a password, the values of which are bobsmith@gmail.com and 123. And when I go down and click the go button, one row was inserted. Now I can go back to members. I can see login user database. I click on the database or the table. Where is it? This thing is so weird to look at. Okay. It's right here. We got a user ID of 1, the username bobsmith@gmail.com, and the user password. If you look up here, when I just clicked on it to see the password, this is the SQL it ran to show me the data that's in the login user. Select star from login user. Select star, the star means all. It's a wildcard. It says give me everything, and from login user in the table. So select everything in the table and show it to me, and that's everything in the table right now. So we created a database, we created a table, and we added a user, Bob Smith. So let's go back to our SQL. We did our post, and we have the login function, right? So again, this query here, when you hit the login button, it's going to send this query to the database. It's going to say select all from the login user. All right, select all, but you specify a few things. It's kind of a weird query. Anyway, that's SQL for you, SQL. We'll select all from the login user table where the username is equal to ? And the user password is equal to ? Now we're not saying, I don't know, we're saying these question marks are going to be represented right here, the username and the password. Well, what's the username and the password? We get that right here from the body of the requesting document, right? So the username that's in the web page. Let me go back here, log in. The username that's right here and right here are going to be passed to these variables, and then insert it into this command where these question marks are. That's what this line of code does. Nope, wrong button. All right. If it works, if it finds that the username and password are in there, it's going to go ahead and say it's going to redirect to the welcome.html page. Otherwise, it's going to do nothing. This action is just action. And I feel like we did, yeah. If there's an apt-get, it's going to redirect right to the index.html, right? So it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to say anything. It's not going to do anything. It's just not going to let you log in. So let me save this. Save all. Let me refresh my page. Actually, I think I need to have Node running. Let's see if I tried to run Node a few times and it did not work. It kept complaining about the database not being there. Okay, so now it connected to the database successfully. It did not tell me what I am running on Node. This should be listening on 44. Let me see. Localhost 4000. Nothing changed, so I guess that means it worked. Oh, I don't have my browser up either. So now you can see that I am on localhost 4000 rather than just looking at the file. I'm on my user login page. If I do, I don't know, Bob, did I do a .smith? I don't remember. .smith@gmail.com. His password was 123, but let's just try 111 and log in, and it does nothing. It takes you right back to the page. Doesn't say anything. Maybe we should make it say something. Error, alert, whatever. I don't know. I'm not doing that. But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't let you in. But if I do bobsmith@gmail and put 1223 and log in, it takes me, it asks me, oh, you can't see that. But it does take you straight into the welcome thing because it found it in the database and it's already there. So it's awesome. What if it's not there? What if I want to sign up right now and register, right? So we need to go back to our login.js and do a register. So it's going to look very similar to the not sure I need that. Anyway, it's gonna look very similar. Sorry, to the post. It's another post. We're gonna post register. So we did a post login. Now post register, pretty much the same thing except for the SQL command, right? We get the two variables from the register page, the body of the requesting document, and then we stick it into this SQL command, right? So just like I showed you just a second ago, we were inserting a record. We're going to insert into login user table a username and password. The values are question mark and question mark. It's actually username and password. Put those in there. If there's an error, it's going to redirect to the index.html. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. Wait a minute. If the result's not length, if it's successful, it's going to redirect you to the index page, and then you will log in from there. So you register, then you'll log in, and then you should get your welcome page. Otherwise, if there's an error, it's going to take you back to the whatever page you're on already. All right, let's see. If I save that, refresh it. Let me show you my browser. All right, new user registration. We need to do something else. Username, Robert Johnson. Oh, I need that to be an email. Let's see, rdj@gmail.com. And his password's going to be, I don't know, 00000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 zeros. I'm going to register, and it cannot post the register. Why can it not post the register? It cannot post the register because I copied and pasted incorrectly. I got PPWs. App, post, save. Let's go back here and refresh. Maybe a bit back. Okay, user RDJ. I'm hoping this is 5 zeros. Of course, I can check that in the database. Let's see, register. Oh, I got it. Yeah, every time you change something, remember you have to go and restart the server. So I have to go Control C to get my thing back. It stops node, run node again. I forget these things all the time. What misspelling is this? Line 48. Did I misspell that again? I'm going too fast. I did. All right, I apologize if I am going too fast for you to keep up with at home, folks. But I know these videos can be long and tedious and just annoying. So, node login.js connected to the database successfully. What does that mean for me? If I go back here, refresh, I don't want to resubmit. I'll go to the register page. RDJ, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, register. Okay, so you can do something a little more exciting saying, great, you registered. You could set an alert or you could set something. You should probably do that. The user needs more feedback. So did it work? How do you know? Go back into your myphp admin if you can find it. There we go. And in here, you are going to, we got to refresh the database or refresh the table, right? So just click on login user again. Look, it did it twice. Look at that. So I added it twice, probably because I've been having issues and messing with it. Let's see if we can do this in real time. If I go over here, go to register and Sam Jones at gmail.com. 5678. Register. It goes straight to the user login. Nothing happens here because this is not like a living, breathing document. But if you refresh the page or click on your login user again, you can see that Sam Jones 5678 is now a registered user of the page. So if you go to your page and you pick any one of these, your user login page, and pick any one of these and type in the correct password, hit login, it should always take you to the welcome page. So I know there's a lot of moving parts here. This can be kind of confusing, but this is it. That's it. So we did an index page, a login page, a sign up page, and a welcome page, plus all the JavaScript to make it all work. What you should have. All right, what I would like to see is something similar to this. And it's the same stuff we just did. I didn't even style the inputs of the button, but I mean, it looks a little bit better, right? You got your login, you got your register, the same thing. And if I do Bob Smith, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or register, oops, I think he was already registered. Log in and it says welcome back. You got something. Okay, it's a little bit better than the other stuff. It's not super boring. This is your project for the week. Make a sign up, register, sign up, slash login, slash welcome page, and have it work using the SQL databases. If you have any questions, I know this, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts here. It can be kind of confusing. Certainly ask me some questions if you got questions. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thanks.